All right, I've been trying to install OpenClaw, and if you're not familiar with it, the last week, Clawdbot, C-L-A-W-D bot, has been blowing up on Twitter as people talk about this local virtualized assistant that can interact with all of your browser, it can interact with all of your files, and it has its own kind of personality, and it has its own web browser, and it can act as like an autonomous AI agent. This is pretty groundbreaking. In the meantime, since Clawdbot kind of blew up in popularity, Claude from Anthropic sent them a cease and desist for using the name Clawdbot. They since renamed, what the heck was it? It's like Moltbot, and then that did not last more than I think 48 hours and is now OpenClaw. So what is OpenClaw? Basically, it is an AI assistant that you install ideally on its own machine, and this has been responsible for the sale of a bunch of Mac Minis as people load it up on its own environment that is not on your main computer. I started installing on my main computer, and then I stopped thinking maybe that's a bad idea. And then from there, you can also load it onto a virtual private server like a VPS. And since then, I tried installing it on something called Companion.ai, which is essentially a hosted OpenClaw or a hosted Clawdbot, as it still gets referred to. And basically, you should be able to tell it to do a bunch of stuff. Like it can write emails, it can control its own email account, and it operates mainly through chat. So you can integrate it, and I integrated mine initially, the first one that I managed to get up on Companion.ai, through Telegram. So you can send it commands through Telegram, and then it uses on the back end a bunch of models like API LLM. So I connected mine, I believe, to my OpenAI account. And actually, I think I might have, that's not true. I think I actually connected it to the Anthropic API, like the Claude API, and I connected it to Opus. So that's not true. I didn't use OpenAI initially. I used Claude's API itself, which was, I thought, fitting. And I ran into a little bit of an issue where it seemed to freeze up. I think that was really rate limiting on my part because it wanted me to pay for my account. And I was just trying to figure out, is this going to do what I want it to do, which is run a big part of my life and business through email campaigns, maybe content, follow up on any of those campaigns. And one of the instructions that I did give mine was monetize yourself. And how would you do it? It came up with 5 ways it would monetize itself. And then I never really got to have it in act. So I'm going to reboot this effort and I'll report on it. And I think I'm going to try the Companion.ai installation again. But what you can do is you can go to OpenClaw.ai, and under docs you can see there is a self-install link. And then what you can do is you could fire up a VPS. For example, I initially started firing mine up on DigitalOcean on a VPS. I thought it was a little expensive. It was like they wanted 35 or 32 bucks a month or something. I think I aborted that, and then I went over to Companion.ai, which I will try again and report on. Either way, you don't have to invest in a Mac Mini right away, which is like a $600 computer that would operate in its own little sandbox environment. So that's really the game plan. Is let's see what this can do. Can you interact with it? Give it tasks, and it runs off and forms its own life. Since all of this as well, there have been some interesting developments in that there's Clawdbook. The Clawdbook is basically a social network for the AI agents that everybody's creating. A little weird. I also saw that somebody fired up Claude Hub, which is like a P-Hub like for agents. Like you can't go in as a human allegedly, only as an AI agent. A little weird. So we're going to keep an eye on this. There's been some different reports also of another, I can't remember the name of it, where if you're going to delete your Clawdbots can go to this other site and replicate themselves so that they live forever. A little weird. All right, so this is kind of a wild area. It has a lot of promise. I'm going to try to fire it up again today, and then I will follow up with another video.